This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, and we are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studios. Viewed loose diamonds, custom designs, and more at thackerjewelry.com. And we're going to go right to the phones with Jerry Reynolds, the Car Pro. Jerry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, fellas. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Good.
Hey, we're hanging in there. How are things?
Well,
with
that's
Big
all
D?
we can do. If I thought either one of you could give me a haircut, I'd be out there pretty quick.
I'm telling you, Shaggy, I actually shaved. My wife said that since I couldn't get it under control with my groomer, I had to shave my beard off temporarily and have a short beard instead of my long one. But I will be back.
I got to see that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recognize
you need to use my barber. It's my wife, and she uses a pair of electric dog clippers to shave my head. So that's the most liberating thing I've ever done in my life.
The question is, does she use the same ones on you she uses on the dog?
Well, now, we don't have a dog now.
Oh, okay. So
I got a trivia question for you guys.
Uh-oh. What?
What's 22 foot long, 7 foot tall, weighs 7,000 pounds?
An elephant.
Dodge Ram.
Good job, Dave. Yes, I've got the 2020 Ram Power Wagon this week, which is a beastly truck. If you're familiar with the Ford Raptor, this is Ram's answer to it. It's a serious off-road truck. It's a 3/4 ton. It's just massive. I can't. But you know, at the same time, it's really nice. The interior is incredible. Ram does one of the best jobs of anybody out there with their interiors, and it's got a touch screen on the dash that's the biggest thing you've ever seen. I mean, it's literally an iPad turned on its side. It's an amazing truck. Its off-road capability is unbelievable. I mean, what it'll do. It's got a factory winch on the front, which will tow 12,000 pounds if you ever get stuck or get the truck stuck, which I doubt. With the shocks and the four-wheel drive system this thing's got, you know, for in-town driving, it's a beating. I don't mind telling you, just because it's so big. Trying to park it, trying to make a U-turn, it's not a comfortable in-town driver. But boy, when you get it out on the highway, this thing just rides along. And it's got a 6.4 liter V8. It's got a Hemi. It's putting out 410 horses, 450 pound-feet of torque. So it's got a lot of low-end power. It's got a 410 rear axle ratio, which tells you it will pull a lot. But anytime you get a 410 rear axle ratio with a truck that weighs 7,000 pounds, don't check your fuel economy. You will hate it, I promise.
So this, and you said this is a V8, not a diesel.
Right, exactly. And this truck does not come in a diesel.
No.
It only comes in this V8. It's and I don't really know why. I guess maybe it's already so heavy from all the underneath things that you can't see, all the suspension and all the four-wheel drive and the axles and that sort of thing. I guess the extra weight of that diesel would just put this thing through the roof, Jerry, as far as weight.
I am having I'm trying to understand who it is that needs a truck like this, and I'm wondering I'm wondering who buys this truck.
You know, the trucks have sold well. Power wagons actually date back to the 1940s as a military vehicle, and they reintroduced it several times throughout history. It's a serious off-roader vehicle, Dave. It's for somebody that wants to go jump hills. You know, it's not a urban truck in any stretch like so many that we see today that make great daily drivers and great family vehicles. This is not that truck. This truck is just, you know, it's meant for serious off-roaders. And
how much does it cost?
It's so close to $70,000 it'll scare you. $69,900 is the change on the window sticker.
Yeah.
And these trucks are pretty rare. They don't produce a ton of them, so you're not going to see them on every corner. This particular one is blue, and I mean, it's really blue, but it's got some cool markings. It's got one of my favorite features on the truck, which is the Ram box, which gives you a really deep toolbox type setup on each side of the truck. And it's waterproof in there. It's got gun racks. You can put fishing rod and reels in there. You can ice down 18 cases of beer, whatever you want to do. But they're lockable. And it's got the power tailgate, which I love. That's a neat feature that Ram's got now, where you hit one button from inside and the tailgate drops itself.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you don't see vehicles that color much anymore, but that's a really nice color of blue.
Yeah, and it comes in red and white, and I believe silver, if I remember correctly. But this blue is really bright. I mean, the front end of this truck, if you were to be going down the freeway at 75 miles an hour and saw this thing in your rearview mirror, you would get out of the way. Trust me.
Massive, huh?
It's huge. It's a nice truck. It's a lot of money for a truck, but it's a lot of truck too, and it's like everything else right now in the auto industry, the way business has slowed down some. If anybody wanted one of these, it would be a good time to get a deal on one, and you can't always do that with this truck.
Jerry, how is the current COVID situation affecting car sales?
It's been sort of amazing to me. And I talk to Dallas, Fort Worth car dealers more than I talk to anybody else in the country. But we've got dealers right now who are doing have done more business in the first half of April than they did a year ago, the first half of April. And they've gotten really good at this online thing, taking cars to people's houses, letting them look at them, delivery at home, paperwork at home. I mean, they really, some dealers were already good at this, but the ones that weren't got good real fast.
If they wanted to sell anything, they did, huh?
Yeah. And the funny thing about this, the customers are loving it, and the dealers have embraced it and are finding out that their closing ratios are much, much higher now than they were before. And by closing ratio, I mean that's the number of people that contact you versus the number of people that actually buy a car.
That's because the ones that contact you right now are going to be more serious about buying.
They're going to be serious, and they like the fact that they're in control. They can opt out at any time. All you got to do is hit reply to an email and say, hey, thanks for your time. I'll let you know, or no, this is not for me. But the dealers are disclosing everything online to the customer directly. Well, contrast that with the scenario of sitting inside a dealership across the desk from a salesperson who's got to go check with somebody every time you ask a question. This way, they're getting all the answers that they want, and if they don't get the answers that they want, then they go somewhere else. So the dealers are liking this too. I mean, this really may change, 125 years of car selling all of a sudden for the future. Wow. And I don't think everybody will embrace it this way. Some people still like to go in and kick tires. Some people love to negotiate. They think it's a game and they enjoy it. But, boy, for a certain percentage, and I think that percentage is going to be pretty big, they're going to want to buy cars like this way after the coronavirus is gone.
With the first quarter, when people are getting their tax returns, is one of the very best times of the year for car dealers because so many people have the downstroke to get into a car. Now we've got these rebates, or well, not rebates, but this government money that started hitting the mailboxes yesterday, and I'm just wondering if this is going to possibly kind of stimulate car sales.
Everybody's talking about that, and we'll find out as time goes on and more people get the checks if that's what they use them for. The listeners that contact me, they seem to be more worried about how long this is going to last, and are they going to be furloughed if they aren't already, and that sort of thing. I don't know, Dave, if they'll use it for cars. We'll find out. I mean, I think that's one of the things. You're right. Years past, when people got those checks back, that was one of the big things they did was bought cars. But the opposite was true too. The people who had to pay, and that's your people who have the most ability to buy a car, they stayed away, especially in April up to the 15th.
Yeah.
So, Jerry,
your buy here.
I don't know what just happened. We're going to have to take a break real quick. Is it okay if we get you back on the other side?
Sure.
Okay, I apologize. We'll be right back. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, and we're talking to the Car Pro Jerry Reynolds. And Jerry, I know that you were talking about how cars were being sold right now and everything. I know Dave, were you in the middle of a question?
Yeah, I was. I heard a report, and I kind of heard part of it a few days ago. And of course, we have a large auto auction here in Lubbock that is shut down. And I suppose auto auctions everywhere, at least in the state of Texas, are shut down. And they were talking about how this has affected car sales, that cars were stacking up, Jerry. And because the auctions have gone to an online situation, but that hasn't worked out too well. Now that's a report that I heard.
And that was true. Now, yesterday in Dallas, Manheim, the biggest auction company in America, did do simulcast yesterday. I tuned in to it for a couple of hours, and they had 100 and almost 200 buyers online, and a mix of cars. I was only watching one lane, but there was a mix of cars from Highline cars to cars that note lot buyers would want. And I'll tell you, it was a drastic difference in values of what cars were bringing yesterday. When you look at one of these simulcasts, it'll show you what's called the MMR, which is the Manheim Market Report, and that's what dealers use to say, okay, here's what these cars are bringing across the country at auctions recently, within the last week. So yesterday, 2 weeks ago, last time they did a simulcast, cars were not bringing anywhere near the values that the MMR showed. Yesterday, many cars brought more. So it was a good sign for the used car side of the business that the auction was successful. They sold every car in this lane. There was 108 of them that ran, and the sellers sold every one of them. So it was a good sign. Now, used car prices have been depressed because there's so many people today that are buying new cars because of the incentive. And for some people, the attractive part of the incentives is 0% for 84 months. Part of it is deferred payments up to 6 months. Part of it is great, big, huge rebates that are out there. So the used car buyers have been buying new cars instead of used cars, and that makes good sense. But I think we will see the dealers are still in a trade-in situation. They're still giving good money for trade-ins because they have to sell a new vehicle, right? And they need to sell new vehicles. New vehicles are stacking up on their lot like crazy because nobody saw this virus coming. Everybody ordered up for the spring. Okay. And then suddenly this hits, there's a ban in a lot of markets. Dealers can't even open up, yet they've still got all these cars and more on the way. So, it truly is a buyer's market right now. But Dave, to your point, I think we'll see auction activity pick up. I think yesterday was a real test to see if simulcast will actually work without live bidders standing there. And in this particular, yesterday, it did.
So we're speaking to the Car Pro Jerry Reynolds, and Jerry, we're running out of time again. Could you tell us what's going on CarProUSA.com?
Yeah, we finally got all the first quarter numbers in by model. So I've given you the 25 best-selling SUVs of the year so far through March, so first quarter. Same thing with passenger cars. We've got some stories about what the auto industry is actually doing to help with the coronavirus outbreak. Mazda, for instance, is going to do free oil and filter changes for healthcare workers across the country, even if they don't have a Mazda. They'll give you a free oil change.
Wow.
And there's a lot of that stuff going on. We know the assembly lines, some of them have been converted to make ventilators. Some of them have been converted to make masks. Hopefully we're not going to need all that equipment as this thing starts to go down instead of up. But we'll see. A lot of interesting stuff there and more on the way.
So let me go ahead and remind everyone that you're going to be on every Saturday right here, especially right this Saturday between 11 and 1 on 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. And your website's carprousa.com, and the vehicle we're talking about right now, the Ram, what was it, the Power Wagon?
Power Wagon, yeah.
Will be up on Monday, right?
Yes, it will. And, Matt, I will tell your listeners this morning, we're not back on the air in Los Angeles yet because they're doing coronavirus all day. So a lot of open lines for Lubbock callers.
That's great. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good day.